having a hard time getting this message out, and there's a reason for that. There's someone in this scenario that is spreading a false narrative, a false story, and it feels kind of like a sob story. They're kind of acting like a victim, and I think that it is to build a bridge to either to you or to other people. I think that for one, I think that people are starting to notice that this person is full of it, okay, blowing a lot of hot air. But two, like, you really know a lot about how full of it this person is. And I think that you haven't been able to really do anything with that information. It's felt kind of like people look at you and they only see whatever role you play in this person's story. That's obviously not true at all. But I think that there's a lot of jealousy involved here. I've tried to, you gotta hang with me here because I've tried to get this out a few times, so I'm pretty like, I'm exploring the energy pretty thoroughly here because this is like my fourth time trying to film it. I think that there's some jealousy that this person has of you. The Empress, the King of Cups, and the Eight of Swords. There's something about use coming in. What is the use of, this situation? Like, how is it serving you anymore? I think that you had an idea of what this person could have offered you in the past, or, what would have been ideal, right? But maybe you were operating from a place that was not entirely like fully seeing the whole story here, right? And kind of going forward into this situation, I can see that you've gained a lot of information. You've gained a lot of information about the person that, we're talking about here. And, again, like, gained a lot of information. This is, you've explored all the nooks and crannies, like, you've seen it all, right? That's what the world kind of gives here. My ears are ringing. Interesting. I'm going to keep pulling, because there are a couple other energies here that I'm curious about. I have the Hierophant in front of me, asking for clarity on that. We get the Emperor with the Star at the bottom of the deck, and the Strength card was at the bottom of the deck before. This is a lot of major arcana. One thing that's coming through here is kind of like, I'm hearing the word like false prophet, which seems a little grandiose and not really my style, but sure, we'll go with it. Damn. Okay, actually, these messages are coming in really strong. I think that this is like a shitty villain story, right? Like, you were subject to this person's like villainy. It seems like, and again, like, there's some outcasting going on here because I think this person created this whole story. And it also feels like with the Hierophant, the Emperor, and the Star, it almost feels like you have just had to set those boundaries and like play along with whatever they were. And like, maybe too, they were like, you were kind of like put in your place by somebody else in this situation, to where you just kind of had to play along with whatever this person, the Hanged Man and Temperance, more major arcana, the Nine of Cups, and the High with the Seven of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I hate this for you. It just feels like you had to play along and play nice and act like everything was fine until we kind of get to a point where the High Priestess here makes me think that, like, especially with the Nine of Cups, because the Nine of Cups is like setting the table. Like, yes, it's a wish fulfillment card, but it's also, in this context, feels a little bit vain. So there's a few ways that I can look at this. Like, for one, the situation that you were, I think obligated to play into, playing nice with these people or this situation, whatever shows up here. Sorry if I'm not making sense or if I'm repeating myself funny. There's a lot of information coming in at once. Whatever you were playing into here might have felt kind of like fake or incomplete, right? It's the Nine of Cups and not the Ten of Cups. But you could see that, right? So you could kind of see that, well, this has to like pan out, into like something. This has to lead to something. So you're kind of just, these cards suggest patience and also information gathering, which you've been doing. but it did leave you feeling really unstable. This was really really draining for you. And so, yeah, I think that you were kind of told, like, this is how we do things, or this is how it should be done. Judgment and the Knight of Pentacles with the Knight of Cups. Yeah. Kind of like Knight of Cups, the Tower, and the Six of Swords. King of Swords at the bottom of the deck. The Magician. Oh, I think you know exactly how much power you have, and I think you knew the whole time. The whole time, yes, the whole time. I think you knew what this was leading to, because I don't know, in my collective, like, I tend to attract people who, and I think I might be talking to someone who this is going to resonate for, but I tend to attract people who, like, kind of just, like, knock towers down. I was going to say terrors. Knock towers down, like, everywhere you go. It happens, and it's because things kind of need to get balanced out or leveled out, and there's something, you know, you might seem like, I don't know, there's something coming through here about, like, it might have seemed like you were ungrateful at one moment, like this person was trying to point fingers at you and say that, like, you were ungrateful or you were, like, a bad egg, when really you were just dealing with a lot in this situation, and you actually were doing a lot more than anyone was giving you credit for, you know? That's what all of this feels like to me. This feels like kind of a culmination of, like, your offerings. What you were bringing to the table kind of culminates into this big tower that you knew was going to happen, right? It's like, well, I'm bringing it all to the table, right? I'm setting the table. What do you mean? I'm just setting the table. What do you mean? But it's almost like, I'm thinking about, like, if you use, like, a baneful oil, like, for example, and this is kind of just the best example I can think of right now, if you are interacting with people that you don't like, and but you, like, have to play nice with, and, like, let's say you're putting one of Moonlight and Sage's oils on, like, Aphrodite's Wrath, or like Shipwreck, right? If you're wearing that oil while you're putting things on the table, or if you have those negative intentions or those baneful intentions, right? If there's magic going on, karma magic, pattern breaking magic, whatever, while you're setting the table and watching and gathering information and just being patient, simultaneously being, like, exacerbated, being kind of put into a box here, it feels like. I mean, yeah, like, I think you've kind of been plotting for a while, knowingly or unknowingly, on some kind of, like, larger transition here that seems to be at play now. Oh my God, and then I split to the Sun. Oh, buddy. I'm curious about what is coming in. I'm running low on time, though, so hang on. Okay, so I have quite a few cards here for, like, near future and outcome. Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Wands, and the top of the deck is the Empress, and we do have the Sun just, like, shamelessly poking out in the middle there, which I love. We also have the Five of Pentacles poking out, but we don't have to talk about that. I see this collective in, like, the near future and outcome of this situation, or, like, nearest outcome, whatever's coming in regarding this situation, as, like, the thing that I keep hearing is really happy that you said no to something or said yes to someone, right? Like, there's an agreement here. There is something very fulfilling that, like, actively heals a heartache, a grief, a wound of grief, taking a new approach, saying no to an argument, really standing on business about what is yours, and your definition of joy, happiness, right? Not another person's, right? This is giving yourself and whoever else is in your life the opportunity to plan for the future. The Queen of Wands and the Empress really emphasizing that. I also kind of feel like you are holding yourself back on purpose, which is why this message of, like, you know, happy you said no keeps coming through, because you're holding yourself back on purpose from playing along, which does imply that it might be very tempting, or you